Yo, what's up, guys? Yes, I played a tournament as of yesterday. We had the stack pre-ban. I definitely really do like this mod. I'm going to be looking forward to that in SWC. These were the brackets. So we had Ardok in there, Sappy, Amadeus, and Abs, HSCN, and Glorious. And my first round was against Benny. So for this tournament, I'm going to be going through all of the matches that I played, how I played them, what my thoughts were on them. And then I'll also showcase some of the key units that I used towards the end for bolts and that kind of stuff. But just talking about this tournament, it was kind of fun. Also, shout out to Lucky Madman for inviting me. He's doing these tournaments more often. I'll leave his link to his Twitch in the description down below. And on a side note for this tournament, how I played it, a bunch of friends invited me for some drinks. I kind of forgot about this tournament, so I was drinking while playing this tournament while hanging out with friends. So I was like, I'll just probably play a bit and I'll see how it goes. Like, does it really matter, win or lose? I just play whatever. That actually worked out a little bit better than expected. So my first match was against Benny, which is kind of similar ranked as me. We do all know that Benny doesn't have the craziest of rule quality, but with his units, he still mostly makes it towards like G2, G3-ish, so definitely still credits to that. I would also say that some of his top sets are decent on speed right now. I did notice that he had a lot of good runes towards his Lamilia. In this case, we didn't strip shit, so that was like, rough start. If I just landed the strip on everything, Maxi would have like pretty much cleaned house already, I would say. But in this case, we didn't strip shit. I did get an additional turn for an instant S3, which was kind of nice because that gave me the possibility to not get CC'd by either Theor or that kind of stuff. He could go for a strip on the tricks right now, which he actually decided not to send. I think he should have sent it regardless because, yeah, I think that would just been the better way. Also, my Stark just completely missed all of the strips itself, but the Lima procced again, and therefore we have another reset or another strip coming in. We have the takeout over there, and from that point on, the Lamilia was reset, so it was a difficult matchup for him to win that, actually. So, bit of good luck, bit of bad luck. So for the first pre-bans, we had Lime on the pre-ban, and we had the Lamilia on the pre-ban. I noticed that he had his best runes on the Lamilia, so I just pre-banned it for that. Could have pre-banned the Pontus or the Viva Chell, but I was like, nah, this is probably fine. He did take the Stark, which I took in the first match. I just banned it. That was one of my things that I did this whole tournament. I'm not playing against Stark. That unit just straight up stupid. Like, I'm just post-banning it, pre-banning it. I don't care. I'm not playing this thing. That was actually pretty bad that my units, well, pretty much his team was pretty solid on this match. The only thing is, this is really a match where I could notice the rune quality did miss 2 units over there, even with full glancing, which makes sense because wrong element with having the glancing debuff over there. It still did half HP on this Ethna right there, which is just a lot of damage. Plus, a big thing was, this Gianna was just living way too long. Gianna was getting way too many random skill 1s off and that kind of stuff. Plus, at this point, there's not too much damage on the side of Benny because I do know that his Viva Gel is not on damage. It is on resistance or some kind of whatever fast set. So there's just not too much going in. And Shio was definitely, I would say, my MVP of this whole tournament. Shio as 3 damage is just stupidly high. Like, if you have really good artifacts on it, he just hits so freaking much while being tanky, while having accuracy. It's just a lot of work. Then my match 3, we had Viva Gel for the ban, and we had Lima for the ban. Or no, yeah, wait, Viva Gel for the ban and Gianna for the ban. In this case, I went for a raise. He did steal my Shiho. I went for Triton. I wasn't sure if my Shiho on a low or his Shiho on a higher late would have outsped my Triton, but it actually did outspeed my Triton. However, the only thing he could have actually properly done was go for a stun on the Triton. And he didn't go for that. I could have went for a cleanse on the Gojo after, but if I land all of this, match is immediately over, but I do miss over here on this chakra right there. So I can go for an S2 because I don't have to go for cleanse, but we don't get a single pushback on that unit as well. We do get an additional turn, but we don't get a stun. So the only thing that saves him right now is stunning the Nefties. He did stun the Nefties. So it's like, that kind of sucks, but look at the damage from the Stark, man. Attack break, still an insane amount of damage. Does get a few resistance over there for the defense break. 15k just skills, like, sure, fine, makes sense. Hey, we silence kicking in. Triton still doing the Triton job right there. But the thing is, he's killing a lot of things except killing the Stark. So that's just, that's dangerous, sir. So casual skill 1, 17.5k. Is a very tanky monkey, though. Like, his monkey is actually not that bad on runes, but is taken out over here. And from here, you're not going to do enough damage. So that is a 3-0 against Benny. Some of these matches were definitely a bit close. Some good luck, some bad luck. Then my next match was against Sappy. I think Sappy with this score right now is hovering like top 10, top 20-ish. is definitely a Gianna player as well. I'm not that much of a Gianna player myself, so against Benny, I kind of baited for my Gianna getting banned in the first place. But we do have a higher lead right now, so a higher lead against an Escher. I would outspeed that most of the time, unless that Escher's like 240, which in this case it's not. Kicking Gianna right off with like lowering like 1/3 of her HP. I do have Nemesis on my Josephine, so that was an easy bomb right there, which on will on this particular matchup would have been better. Did take a proc, I take a proc back, and therefore we do get some extra skills in, but at least we get the shield going. Plus, there's enough damage already that this Stark starts dealing a little bit more damage as well. Good stun over there, Oliver doing the Oliver things, except not pushing back, but if you don't push back in your additional turn, it's still kind of fine. You don't take the full attack bar, but it is kind of fine right there. Did have a miss crit. My Stark is on 89 crit rates. AoE stuns, 0 stuns. So, as I mentioned, like I had a bit of good luck some places and a little bit of bad luck some places. The Oliver was definitely doing some fine work over here. My Oliver build is kind of interesting. Yep, also look at that damage, man. Also mis-stunning right there. So sometimes the Shiho was doing everything, sometimes the Shiho was doing jack shit, but once again, Stark damage, man. I was pretty lucky on having this many times of first pick, so that gives you the first round on that Stark, which is just really nice. Second round against Sappy did ban my Zhongxiang Lao right there. I actually did not draft Zhongxiang Lao in the previous match or the current match, so haven't used that at all. Also haven't used pretty much a lot of my LDs. It's just Lima. Lima was really core over here, so definitely a well-rounded bruiser draft both sides. Wusa's not super common. He also has good artifacts on that monkey. That's a good bit of damage, but did not manage to land a stun, which is kind of unfortunate, because that reason it makes it where Wusa gets a very unfortunate turn. My Anvil's on decent runes, but not the best. Going for an S2 and S3 in one rotation is always crazy OP. Attack break over there. Razor Cut did have the glancing on both of the water units, so that's a little bit unfortunate right there. Monkey goes for near full stunts. Also a stun over there. So this match is a lot of back and forth. There's still a lot to go for. Gets the Wish of Immortality up. That's a lot. There's one thing that you should know about my Inosuke though. My Inosuke has an artifact of 24 damage on fire. It is an HP main artifact. It's just one of those artifacts. I want to use it somewhere. And it's mainly my killer for Megumis, Vanessas, and Junos. And you will actually see the damage on that. Also, my Megumi is damage based. So over there, 20k just simply takes it out. That's a lot of damage. That's definitely a lot of damage. So we do get stunts in over there, which is actually kind of a risk that he did not take out the Lima. I think he should have taken out the Lima. Then again, the Juno didn't land shit, and my Lima is not resistant yet. If it was a resistance Lima, it would have made sense that he landed that little. But also 18k over there is just a lot of damage kicking in. Taking that additional turn, taking that out. I think my Megumi is somewhere like 85-ish crit rate as well. Finally decides to go for the Juno, does take out the Juno, but in this case, it's a little bit too late because this Anvil is simply like full HP healing this unit. Does miss a crit over there, otherwise would have definitely been taken out. Good sleep, did not get the stun, and then that is the moment we can start throwing teddy bears and just taking it down. And Shiho against the world in this kind of scenario is a little bit rough. Like everything is still full HP, there's just too much to work with. He does have good artifacts on his Shio as well. That's 100% a thing. So I did notice, okay, I'm definitely going to be contesting that Shio that he doesn't have that all too often. Because he has a good one too. And we did land over there, and then with some Water Guardian Angel, and then some Razor Cut, taking it out, clean hit. So that means, once again, we are at match point with a lot of match points, because we're 2-0. I did remove his Warring, because I do know he plays it, and I really hate playing against the unit. It's so stupid, you can barely kill that shit. I noticed this draft was kind of bad, where the Josephine and the Juno, I could kind of decide when they get buffs, and therefore my Bolveric would have got, like, crazy value. Plus, I was highly contesting on that Shiho, as I mentioned. And the thing is, most people don't have that crazy high accuracy on their Josephine. Plus, I have double cleansers. Those double cleansers with the Bolveric, plus also being able to provide a triple buff on the side of a Lima S3 just makes Bolveric crazy good. He's just on a simple Swift set, like I barely use him. But some of those weird cases, he's actually really good. Because, once again, looking at 5 stacks, I did have to fight the unit over there, but then again, the Ragdoll, I'm not super high on crit. Like, the Gojo can crit with AoE hits. Like, all of them, I have multi-hits that can crit, but I don't necessarily have, like, a lot of crit rate on any of the units. Like, I think the highest crit rate is probably on the Gojo itself, which is like 40-ish, because he leads in, or he awakens into crit rate for some whatever reason. But yeah, that's just pretty much it. So the Ragdoll was kind of misplaced right there, I would say. But yep. And then we have Vio. So this would definitely always give like full bar to the Ragdoll, as much bar as it can get. But this Ragdoll was kind of high damage, super squished, taking it out with just simple 2 hits from a Shiho. As I mentioned, that Shiho was just really high value for both of the players. So in this case, you're not going to be taking it back. Bolvik was super go-to pick. Shiho once again go-to pick. And we actually 3-0'd against Sappy, which was actually the match I kind of expected to lose. Because keep in mind, I was playing and still drinking. Like, in this match, I was like 6-7 drinks in already. Yes, you just did hear that. Then HSZ1 was the one winning against App, so I had to play finals against HSZ1. Once again, first pick, being super lucky on always picking that Stark. He picked my Gianna. As I mentioned, I'm not really Gianna carried that much. I also mispicked the Tableau over here. I wanted to pick Misty, but they kind of look like one another. Hey, those were the drinks, my boy. So I was like, Tableau in there. And these guys were like, oh, that's such a 5-head pick with the Josephine next to it. It's like, I wanted to pick the Misty. I just completely mispicked. He actually has an Angela moving in front of his Gianna. I was like, what kind of mad lad actually does do that? Like, what the hell is that? They broke out. Because of the proc out, I could go for AoE stunts, which is really nice. Then we can send in some ghosts. Layla, the combination of this is crazy good because there's pretty much nothing really stopping the Layla. It's just the Angela kind of trying to do that, but it's not really doing that. Plus what you can do with a Layla, and also everything is proccing out both sides. Plus you can do this, which gives the turn to the Josephine once again, which is kind of funny as well. So a bit of back and forth over there. Try to just chip everything that they don't get as many skills in as possible. We do go for an all or nothing over here. It's a little bit more nothing than a little bit of all. And just trying to get a lot of skills in, like, throughout everything. This time was, I think, kind of bad because he would have been able to get a bomb off if he didn't. In this case, I kind of had to not go for the greed and just send the damage over there. We do get another Tableau proc, which is just another hit over there. We have the cleanse block once again, so that cleanse block really does fuck up Chao. Chao doesn't take any proper turns with cleanse block. So first win once again. Second match, we have the Gianna ban. So I just banned Gianna because I know other people are Gianna carried. I'm totally not Gianna carried myself. So just straight up ban that unit. He bans out the Lima. I'm definitely Lima carried 100%. So that's a good ban. I have double speed lead. So Sonya is 100% big. He has the Stark. I just banned that shit out. Like, I'm not playing Stark, man. Fuck that unit. So over here, I can make a really good rotation with the Zhongchen Lao go for an S2 and then Oliver resetting this, and then I could do, like, whatever. But I do get a really good additional turn, but I missed the strip, which this thing is max accuracy. If I landed that plus the additional turn, would have been goated, but I was like, yo, I'm just going to go for the damage regardless. Mainly because my Oliver, it's not full crit rate, but it is actually on a bit of crit rate. And we do manage to land the crits, but we don't get the pushback, which is really bad right there. Otherwise, we would have been able to just chip in a lot more damage right there. A thing that I have on my Megumi is actually pretty decent on damage as well. So in this case, I actually break the shield, and then I can strip the other thing, which is just really nice on the defense break right there. S2 doesn't really get the target I would like, which was the Josephine in this case. Josephine does stun me. We can go for some gun over there with the additional turn, critting everything. I'm like 60-ish crit rate. This build is kind of weird. I'm not using the Oliver as much, but for tournament play is nice. Zhongchen Lao once again missing his hit. It's like, freaking Zhongchen Lao, why are you missing that? Also, we're trying to the best of our ability to try to get any debuffs in from fire towards the water, which it doesn't happen often, but it can definitely happen if you try it often enough. Did not really get that going for me. We did just reset, so that reset is a window where you can actually go for a clean S3. Shio damage is just also, man, like the moment you have good legendary artifacts, both sides on the Shio, and I'll showcase those in a second, you will see you just do so stupid much damage. Like, it's really fucking dumb, like how much damage this thing can do. Oliver on water, it's definitely easier to crit. Oh, does get good stuns over there, but it's very low on the HP already, which allows me to go for an all or nothing kill and then also go for a hit over there. This was a little bit of greed, but look at the HP. HP went from there all the way to there. That's just like stupid for damage. I did know it was gonna heal, but I was like, I don't really want to send anything else than an S3 because I want the protection at the moment. And sending it over here would leave this thing at full HP while having these two units to kill it. I wasn't sure if it was Vampire. In this case, it was not Vampire, but it was very Despair. this pair on wrong element, I was like, I think I might be done over here. I finally crit on wrong element, do get an additional turn over there, and that is enough chip damage where with this hit coming in after, even without the death break, I can simply take it out. And once again, I am on match point. Then we have the next match. I do know that he plays a lot of Nobara. That unit is actually really good right now. It used to be one of the top worst LDs in game. And yeah, I haven't played a single match of Tian Lang just yet in this whole tournament, but did ban out the Tian Lang. Funny enough, my Gojo did not catch any bans, which I played a fair bit of Gojo myself as well. So we have a Shio coming in, not as much damage as the one from mine or the Sappiest that we saw earlier, but in this case did not land as much on the Shiho as we would have liked to see. But I do have, once again, my Stark in the match. And Stark in the match is dangerous. Annabelle is also being God's work today. Lots of procs out on the NFL, always good for the cleanse and everything. Do get a proc back on that, does stun my unit, but not the worst just yet. Just trying to not give too much bar right there. Does get a stun over there. This Shio was definitely doing good work on the stuns right there. I can go for a cleanse, and the main reason I want to go for a cleanse is because this is an awkward turn, and then I can guarantee my Girl Sprayer in there. Good additional turn right there, and then the damage coming in from Mr. Tony Stark. It's just stupid for damage, man. Does get a good stun. That is definitely a nice thing. And then I was like, he's never gonna land all of that. It's like, quad stun? Including 100 res target and 2 wrong elements, which one of them is also 100 res. Like, okay. Sometimes it works, I guess. Sometimes it does work. Procs out, kills on reflect. Yeah, we say goodbye to that unit. We say goodbye to that unit. It does get another good stun over there. So right now, I kind of have to take out the Megumi first. At least that time, he did not land as much. I have some more ghosts coming in. They do also have seal in there on this unit. That's why it's not on will. It does have seal, which some cases can be pretty nice because it's that one extra debuff, works for a passive, plus just not getting procced on is kind of nice. Do land only the seal right there. Good damage due to the proc outs, and then it's the moment that he does not get the stun, more ghosts coming in, and you kind of already feel the vibes. You're not going to be winning from this point on. So in the end, yeah, we won 9-0. I was like, I'm just playing this tournament a bit on the side while drinking, and I won this whole thing. And then my friends were like, yo, dude, did you just win the whole thing? Yeah, apparently I did. So yeah, that was definitely a fun experience. Once again, Lucky Madman, thanks for inviting me. 2 questions that are on people's mind and definitely going to be in the comment section. Number 1, what did you win over here? Well, just $100, which, hey, it's nice. That's another pack right there, or 2 packs or whatever I want to buy with that. Number 2, are you going to be in SWC? Well, you already seen the lineup for SWC. SWC is starting in about 2 weeks. On the 8th and 9th, we have Europe kicking off right away. I am a caster over there. I did heavily contemplate being a player for SWC. However, the moment I started kind of thinking, it's like, hey, do I want to be a player for SWC? I started playing more RTA and had like 4 or 5 days in a row with absolute rockery of RNG. If you tune into my streams, you kind of know what I'm talking about. On videos, I don't show it as much because there's just less interesting matches to show if I'm losing all the time. However, today, I would say I definitely had way above my average RNG. I would say in most match I was more lucky than unlucky, which doesn't happen to me all too often. If I have a streak like that, I think I could win all of SWC. But I feel like if I have bad RNG streak, I could lose to a legit any opponent out there. So for that reason, it's kind of a gamble if I can make it in or not. I think for the playstyle, I definitely really do like the stack pre-ban. I think I would also play very well on stack pre-ban because I have pretty well-rounded depth in my room box and unit. So I am not super hard LD bound as you have seen on the thing right now. So most of the time, the stack pre-ban goes the pre-bans towards like LD units in the first place, which it is very favorable. If you have those, you can draft those, but you're not bound to like having to use them to actually get your victories or get your teams in. So for that reason, I think I would do very well. But then again, I was a little bit, if I already qualified through the first season, I wouldn't have had such a more of a difficult choice on the second season, because second season where I could qualify was also during my vacation to Iceland, which did not really help out. Plus the contracts for being a caster or not are handled way before we start casting. So the time was just not really fitting. So if I want to play next year, I'll probably qualify through the first season. If I cannot qualify through the first season, I'll probably be a caster again. That's just how it works. But it kind of depends, like, how is the meta at that time? Does it actually work? For now, I kind of like the Stark meta. I kind of feel my way around it, how I can use it. Playing against Stark still pretty difficult. But that's also the big question. Do I like the current meta at the moment that we're qualifying or not? Which was the 2 months ago, like the whole thing. I did not like the meta at all. Currently, I would say the Stark is a little bit rough, but outside of that, I kind of feel my spot where it's not too bad. But then again, it is definitely heavy RNG rotated. And for that reason, this year, I'm once again a caster. So you will definitely see me on the 8th and 9th of August. Going to be casting live on my Twitch channel for European Cup. And Europe, once again, it's crazy stacked because I think everyone is like top 20-ish with like 2 outliers that are like top 30. Just crazy high though. And let me showcase a few of the key units that I was using and the builds. So Zhongchen Lao only had 1 match, wasn't really used as much, but it's like the overall bruiser set. Nephthys was used. It's not a resistance Nephthys, even though it did resist a fair bit, but she has resistance in the base. So it does already help that it's not just a 15% check. It could be like on a low accuracy unit. It could be like a 30% or 40% check or anything like that. Gianna only used 1 match. It's just like a Swift whatever. As I mentioned, I don't really use Gianna much. So I don't really give a shit. Lima is actually on the good set. It is still accuracy mainly for the pairing for the Zhongchen Lao. But after balance patch, I'm most likely going to make this a 100 res Lima or just a higher HP Lima. Both builds I like a little bit more. However, I do have this accuracy 6, which just leads me into going for accuracy. But I feel like sure, the accuracy is nice for the S2, but I feel like more HP or just more resistance feels a bit better. My Gojo is on a set that I would love to place on the Laura that I don't have. In main cases, Gojo is better on Swift than it is on Violent, but it's just like a perfect fitting set with like no attack, max accuracy, and it's just like a perfect set for like a Laura. But it kind of fits the Gojo as well. Tianlang did not even get any play. Unit that got a lot of play was my Shiho. This is my Shiho stats. It's near max accuracy, so it's not full on the accuracy. And it's just a lot of overall stats. Like all of these runes, like the average rune is like 230 on rune score or something. But then we go to the artifacts, and the artifacts are actually pretty darn crazy because we got a 202 over here with full additionals, and then we got a 206 over here with full additionals. And these are pretty much just straight up like crazy good rolls, and therefore he's doing a shit ton of damage. I would rather see more additional damage by speed than the double roll in attack, but it's just, it totally fits here. It has a decent bit of attack in there. I went for an HP 6 rather than for an attack 6. Just makes him a bit more like tanky, but being this tanky, dishing out that much damage is just, it's stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense. NFL also did get a fair bit of play. Just a typical full additional damage artifact NFL with just a bit of all stats, 100 resistance. Still, I see a lot of NFLs with like no accuracy at all. Go for a little bit of accuracy. She's not really moving in front of anything. Like, I did not have the rune quality to make her move in front. Some of these runes are also a little bit more mid, like this one, for example. But it's still an overall pretty solid set, I would say. Josephine also does have a pretty solid set. I do have her on minus wind. It's just one of those weird artifacts I want to place somewhere. Attack main on Josephine is actually pretty good because her full damage is attack scaling. So for that reason, having some attack on her is actually kind of nice. And if you throw a 1500 on this or a 100 on this, 100 on this has more value than 1500 on this. That's just the simple fact right there. Bit of accuracy. I also fix a little bit more accuracy on this one. Some add damage on this is nice. We have some crit damage first on it, of course. And then this is just a whole bunch of minus while having attack in there while having this. So all of the lines kind of do help, but she still dishes out a good bit of damage. And also for her, I think the average... this rune is kind of mid, but it is a quad in speed, so therefore it's kind of like either on lower rune score, it's still somewhat fine. But all of these runes are like averaging like 220 to 225 as well, with some outliers like these two being actually like properly solid and high. So that unit was used a fair bit. As mentioned, the Inosuke, I have a 24 damage on fire on this one. This is just my Juno, Vanessa, Megumi killer, so... did not use it that much, but it's just an overall pretty bruisery, kind of on the slow side, good unit. This thing is also, oh, it's actually, I thought it was lower on crit rate, but it's 91 on crit. It doesn't have full accuracy, but I kind of like my Megumi like this, where he is a bit slower, but he does do good damage, and he's still pretty tanky, because he was not easy taken down. And he just definitely did work. So right side artifact is just all crit damage focus, preferably just crit damage first and crit damage own. Those are the two best ones. This thing, of course, doesn't work, but hey, gotta work with what you have. And on left side, it's just a bit of damage minus with like whatever I could find that is like a high efficient artifact. And that's pretty much the whole thing. Other units I used the Oliver once. As I mentioned, my Oliver is kind of on a weird build. That is because I got this rune recently, which is kind of nice. The overall rune efficiency on this is also like 220-ish, I would say. Some are higher, some are lower. The crit rate, he's not only crit rate 4, but he does have crit rate throughout like this rune and like a little bit of everything everywhere. And his accuracy is not really the greatest, but it is fixed by, at least the S3 is fixed, the S2 is not fixed. So with the S2, I always kind of tend to go for units that I know that are not 100 resistance. And then this one is just like an overall global-ish artifact with some speed, some crit damages, and that kind of good stuff. We did get the Taulo in one match. And that's just also kind of a whatever set with just some additional damage artifacts. He's more of a leftover-ish set than anything. And that is pretty much all of the units that I used. So, hope you did enjoy this video. Tournament was definitely kind of cool. Bolvric was used at one time. Bolvric is always recommended to have runed up. I would recommend to have him runed up faster than your whole team. Just go for a Swift set on it, make him 100 res. And you just want to go some minor stuff over here. I do have this weird artifact where speed lost HP, which can be niche and nice sometimes. For people not expecting, it's like if they deal damage that I suddenly get like a random cut in, which is kind of nice. And then this thing is just purely focused on recovery S3, and that's about it. I should actually maybe fix one of those to go for more HP or something, or like additional damage by HP. But as mentioned, I don't really get to use Bolvric that much. It's just randomly against the Josephine, like 164, Jesus, that's bad. But yes, yeah, randomly used sometimes where he kind of fits. Layla was actually used a good bit. My Layla is somewhat on a weirder set as well, because I go for an attack 4, and that is just to get the speeds in there. Like, that's the main thing. It is a pretty fast set. It does have Seal in there. My Seal rune is the slow rune, but all of the other runes are pretty fast. This is actually one of the most recent runes that I picked up. Some accuracy in there, and then we also go for pretty much full add damage both sides. But yeah, she kind of packs a punch because of that attack 4. But it also makes her a bit more squishy. But I would say she's okay-ish for still being decently enough tanky while being very fast. She's not max accuracy though. But most of the time when I tend to use my Layla, it is against teams that don't have super high on resistance anyways. So yeah, funny enough, I actually did not really use my LDs as much. I mainly used Lima and Gojo, and all of the others were drafted kind of randomly, but not that much. Normally I use a lot more Tian Lang. I used this one once, but it was banned out. And it's just kind of like one usage here and there, but it definitely does show Stark is by far strongest in the meta. I think Shiho is crazy good as long as you have good artifacts on him. Those are definitely two core picks that are very important. And we're gonna see, are they gonna headbutt a nerf tomorrow or the day after or whatever this thing goes live and the balance patch is being noticed. I do kind of expect balance patch notice on Monday and then patch on Wednesday, but then again, we never know with Zomtuas. And playing best when drinking. And see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.